Hey, Paul here again with you, and now I want to talk about our MixPre Generation 2, which we just started shipping last week. 3 models, the little baby 3 over here, and we have the 6 and the 10. Just 3 models in Generation 2. Let's talk about the key differences between this series and the previous series. It's new hardware, internal hardware. They all now have fully featured timecode generators and readers, so now these can be your master timecode. Great for anyone doing sound for picture. You've got the ability to jam timecode, you've got the ability to read timecode, any frame rates, very accurate timecode. If you power down, it will retain the timecode count for 4 hours, so you don't have to re-jam. The way you get timecode in is via the aux-in jack on the right hand side, and to get timecode out via the stereo out port. There's menus where you can configure the outputs accordingly. They have all the features of the existing MixPre series 1, but they have not just the timecode. We've also introduced a new technology for audio called 32-bit float. Essentially what that is increased dynamic range compared to 24-bit. Now 24-bit has been around for many, many years, decades even, and it provides amazing recordings. The dynamic range of 24-bit is more than enough for 99% of applications, and some great recordings have been made that way. We're not suggesting that 32-bit float replaces 24-bit at all in all circumstances, but in some circumstances it does. With 32-bit float, what is the advantage? Well, it's impossible to clip a 32-bit float file. It's got such huge dynamic range. It's got 700 dBs of dynamic range above 0 dBFS. That's sort of a little bit mind-boggling, I know. But if you go to our website, there's plenty of examples to demonstrate how that works. Many applications out there which already support 32-bit float, Adobe Audition, Reaper, Pro Tools, Adobe Premiere, you name it. There's a lot of applications out there which already support these files. But what it essentially means to the end user is it no longer really matters where you set your gain control. It can be set to minimum or maximum. You can be clipping your input blood red and you still won't clip the file. You'll still be able to pull that signal down in your DAW and have beautiful, clean, undistorted audio. Want to move on to a couple of other features in the MixPre Series Gen 2. We now can record to USB auto backup to USB thumb drives on all 3 models. So you have a ready-made backup at the end of recording. And they all support now 10 seconds of pre-roll buffer. On the previous generation it was up to 5 seconds. And we now have adjustable limiters in all the models, so you can adjust ratio, threshold and release time. And the only other difference is that the 3 now also goes up to 192 kilohertz sample rate, so they all support 192. That's a brief overview of the MixPre II series. If you want to find out more, you should go to our website. Thanks a lot for listening. Cheers.